करोड़, you're a करोड़पति। एंड वो 10 लोगों को जाके और गालियां सुनाते कि यार मैं तो मार्केट में पैसा डाला, तुम मत डालना, मैं तो फंस गया था।
तो सोचिए जो शायद 1 करोड़ था वो अगर 30 लाख हो जाए तो कैसा लगता है?
More than $1 trillion. That's how much US stocks lost in yesterday's trade.
You'll have to excuse me for this conversation.
No, absolutely. आज no holds bar है, आपको जो पूछना पूछिए।
सीधी बात and no बकवास। What's your current net worth?
अब इसको आप controversial बोलो या बेवकूफ़ी बोलो या very intelligent statement बोलो, but this is what the number says.
जो भी आप लीगली हमें दिखा सकते हो, प्लीज शो अस। कितने परसेंटेज ऑफ फंड्स डू यू थिंक आर गोइंग टू मेक यू एन एनॉर्मस अमाउंट ऑफ वेल्थ?
आपको तो एक ही स्टॉक चाहिए एक्चुअली।
एंड आपके लिए वो एक स्टॉक कौन सा रहा है?
मेगा मल्टी बैगर ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। There has been a mega multi regret.
अगर मेरे पास सिर्फ एक ये मल्टी बैगर स्टॉक होता है।
No, that's not the right way of looking at it. वो तो ना वीडियोस आते हैं ना, stocks for lifetime, सब बकवास होता है।
Talk about your stock portfolio as well.
Now
I
what?
actually will now let's talk about returns.
Because my mathematics says that these are probably where the winners are. See this? Yeah.
Can I say it out now? हेलो एवरीवन एंड स्वागत है आपका INDmoney के एक नए पॉडकास्ट एपिसोड में। मेरा नाम है शगुन और आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं मिस्टर शंकर नाथ, जो एक इन्वेस्टर है, कंटेंट क्रिएटर है एंड इंडियन स्टॉक मार्केट इकोसिस्टम के काफी जाने पहचाने एजुकेटर भी है। ही आल्सो हैज एक्सटेंसिव एक्सपीरियंस इन कॉर्पोरेट, गिविंग अस दैट परफेक्ट ब्लेंड ऑफ द टू वर्ल्ड्स, जिसे आप और मैं दोनों बैलेंस करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, द स्टॉक मार्केट एंड द कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड। सो हाय सर, हाउ आर यू?
All well. Thank you so much for having me.
So, full disclosure, I'm going to ask you a lot of uncomfortable questions about your finances and कितने पैसे कमाते हो किसी को आंसर करना अच्छा नहीं लगता, but I'm sorry, but you'll have to answer that and more. So yeah, you'll have to excuse me for this conversation.
No, absolutely. आज no holds bar है, आपको जो पूछना पूछिए।
तो मेरा एक ऑब्जर्वेशन है and I've seen that a lot of times when people enter the markets, नए investors या traders, वो किसी की कहा सुनी पे आते हैं कि अच्छा उसने मुझे बोला इस स्टॉक में पैसे डाल दो, या मेरे बैंक से फोन आया आप इस म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डाल दो। They come in the markets, they enter. In the first month or in the first year, they see कि अरे पैसे नहीं बने and they immediately leave and वो 10 लोगों को जाके और गालियां सुनाते कि यार मैं तो मार्केट में पैसा डाला, तुम मत डालना, मैं तो फंस गया था। We are having this conversation, so I know that was not your experience. But क्या आपके जर्नी में ये मोमेंट आया था जहाँ पे you felt like कि मैंने कहाँ पैसा डाल दिया है, I should leave and I should just go and put my money in an FD instead?
हाँ, ये ऐसा आता रहता है एक्चुअली, बिकॉज जब आप यंग होते हैं तो आपको ये वॉलेटिलिटी ग्रास्प करने का जो स्ट्रेंथ चाहिए होता है ना, वो नहीं होता आप में। सो आई रिमेंबर जब मैंने शुरू किया था 2003 में, 2003, 4, 5 वो ऐसा टाइम था जब आप किसी भी स्टॉक के ऊपर पैसा डालिए और वो डबल हो जाता था। मतलब इट वाज लाइक द हनीमून पीरियड आप बोल सकते हैं। सो 2003 और 2007 के बीच में बहुत कम लोग होंगे जिनने शायद 30% रिटर्न ना मारा हो। 30%।
Wow.
तो अगर आप 2003 से लेके 7 तक थे इन्वेस्टेड, तो आपने इतना बनाया होगा। तो मैंने भी काफी बनाया, 22 a few lakhs, almost a crore you can say, which was really high for a 27-year-old.
Yeah.
फिर 2008 आया and between 2008, 2009 and 10 I lost कम से कम 65% मैं लूज किया होगा, शायद 70% लूज किया होगा। तो सोचिए जो शायद 1 करोड़ था वो अगर 30 लाख हो जाए तो कैसा लगता है?
मतलब आपने 30% गेन बनाया and you were happy and then everything went down 70%.
Yes.
That is insane.
Yes. And उससे क्या फर्क पड़ा? So to answer your question, 2010 से लेके 2014 तक I was like away from the stock markets. फिर 2015 में थोड़ा स्ट्रेंथ आया, मोदी जी भी आ गए थे, तो थोड़ा स्ट्रेंथ आया एंड म्यूचुअल फंड से मैंने फिर शुरू किया। मुझे लगा कि यार काम करता हूँ मैं अपना एंड लेट मी गिव दिस हेडेक टू द एक्सपर्ट। तो म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेजर संभाल लेगा सब कुछ एंड मैं अपना काम करता रहा। फिर 2017 के आसपास थोड़ा स्टॉक्स में वापस डालने का स्ट्रेंथ आया, उधर भी यही हुआ। स्मॉल कैप्स, माइक्रो कैप्स में डाला था। 2017 वाज अ ग्रेट ईयर। 2018 आया, 40% डाउन।
Oh God.
तो अल्टीमेटली अगर आपको एक अच्छा इन्वेस्टर बनना है, आपको वॉलेटिलिटी सीखना आना चाहिए। तो दैट्स बेसिकली द ट्रिक। जो लोग अच्छा कमाते हैं स्टॉक मार्केट में, वो वही लोग हैं जो सबसे अच्छा स्टॉक नहीं चुनते हैं, वो हैं जो वॉलेटिलिटी को अपना एडवांटेज बनाना जानते हैं। कि जब अच्छा स्टॉक प्राइस गिर गया होता है, जो इतना नहीं गिरना चाहिए था, दे पिक द स्टॉक एट दैट टाइम। तो बट ये टाइम लगता है। हाँ, मतलब ये नहीं कि आप जस्ट शुरू करके आपको ये समझ आ जाएगा। इट टेक्स इयर्स एंड 2-3 बार तो आपको ठोकर खाना ही पड़ता है ये सब सीखने।
तो क्लियरली आपकी जर्नी में ऊपर नीचे काफी हुआ है, बट सबसे ज्यादा रिवॉर्डिंग एंड सबसे ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट फेज कौन से थे आपके लिए?
द मोस्ट रिवॉर्डिंग फेज 2003-2004 से लेके, हाँ, जो 30% पर ईयर, राइट? सो वो सबसे अच्छा पीरियड निकला था. एंड टफेस्ट फेज तो बहुत हैं. आई क्लियरली रिमेंबर दिस रीसेंट फेज जो जनवरी 2025 से लेके अप्रैल 2025 तक था, क्योंकि मेरे काफ़ी स्टॉक्स ना स्मॉल कैप्स एंड माइक्रो कैप्स में है. सो आई काइंड ऑफ पुट माई इक्विटी देयर, एंड वो काफ़ी गिरे. आई थिंक एट वन पॉइंट मेरा जो ड्रॉडाउन जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, इट वाज एज हाई एज 23%. और अभी पोर्टफोलियो बड़ा हो गया है शगुन, सो यू नो और भी ज्यादा लगता है कि 50 लाख गिर गया, यू नो. सो इट्स लाइक
वो एब्सोल्यूट नंबर बहुत ज्यादा है, आई थिंक आपके लिए
एब्सोल्यूट नंबर ज्यादा है, ज्यादा इफेक्ट होता है आजकल.
ऑल्सो आई थिंक सितंबर के हाईज देखने के बाद जनवरी से अप्रैल का जो वो लो था वो देखना आई थिंक डिफिकल्ट तो होगा फॉर श्योर
था. एंड मुझे ज्यादा गुस्सा इस पे आ रहा था दैट जो स्टॉक्स मैंने चुने थे, देयर वाज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन द बिजनेस. बिजनेस तो बढ़ रहा है, उसका ईपीएस इंप्रूव हो गया, नेट प्रॉफिट इंप्रूव हो गया, सेल्स इंप्रूव हो गया, बट हाँ, वैल्यूएशन ऊपर नीचे होता रहता है. समटाइम्स पीपल आर वेरी ऑप्टिमिस्टिक, तो वैल्यूएशन बहुत ज्यादा कर देते हैं, और काफी बार पेसिमिस्टिक हो जाते हैं. बट इसका फायदा हुआ, एज इन क्योंकि मैंने वॉलेटिलिटी लर्न कर लिया था कैसे करना है. कुछ स्टॉक्स इतने गिरे जो कभी नहीं गिरने चाहिए थे, so that became like a Alice in Wonderland opportunity for me. तो मैंने
So let's come back to the uncomfortable questions वाला part I was talking to you about. सीधी बात and no बकवास. What's your current net worth?
Can I check?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we all have tracking apps, right? So I'm going to try one of my tracking apps. Okay. I don't know if this can be seen on the screen or not. Yeah, you can probably see this. Yeah.
Can I say it out loud?
Yes.
7.43 crore. That is insane.
This is what I have in mutual funds and equities. Other than that, there is my EPF, PPF. I've not removed it yet.
Okay.
That would be about 1.2. And then there is one piece of land, which is I think 1.4, 1.5.
So I think you've touched
Around
the 10 crore
10,
mark.
10, yeah.
So 10 crores of net worth. Does it feel good to say that कि 10 crore, you're a crorepati if you look at it that way?
Yeah, so yeah, it feels nice. हम लोग जो financial freedom बोलते हैं, so this is that freedom, right? That I don't have to worry about the finances as much. There are lots of other things to worry about, but at least money is not that much of a worry at the moment.
तो first I want to know कि आपको कितना time लगा to accumulate this wealth, and also was there a moment जहाँ पे आपने ये सोचा कि मुझे सिर्फ पैसा कमाना नहीं है, मुझे wealth accumulate करनी है, मुझे अपना पैसा बढ़ाना है, and not just कमाना? Was there like when did that mindset shift happen?
तो वो हमेशा से था, but I think एक बार जब मैंने INDmoney ज्वाइन किया, when I came back home, मतलब काफी I roamed all over, and जब मैं वापस दिल्ली आया, तो तब जाके I had joined a startup called INDmoney. Okay, now वो जो startup हम लोग बहुत पढ़ते थे स्टार्टअप्स के बारे में, बट नाउ फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द स्टार्टअप आई अंडरस्टूड कि देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड वैल्यूएशन व्हिच इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट गेम. एंड यू नो 2015, 16, 17 मतलब बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स वाज लाइक वेरी इजी नंबर, राइट? तो वो उस टाइम पे मेरे को समझ आया. आई अंडरस्टूड व्हाट लेवरेज इज, हाउ टू यूज टेक्नोलॉजी जिसको आप यूज करके चीजें कर सकते हैं. तो आज जो मैं यूट्यूब करता हूँ वो क्या है, मतलब मैंने कंटेंट एक बनाया बट वो लाखों लोगों के पास जा रहा है, राइट? सो जो लेवरेज वर्ड होता है ना, वो मैंने समझ लिया, जो एक सैलराइड काम में मिलता नहीं है लेवरेज. यू हैव टू बी अ सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड पर्सन, और नॉट इवन अ सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड पर्सन, डूइंग ट्रीट व्हाटएवर यू डू एज अ बिजनेस, तभी आपको लेवरेज मिलता है. तो उस टाइम पे थोड़ा दिमाग में आया, एंड that's why I made that decision to kind of move away from my salaried role, जो मैंने 22 साल किया था salaried.
अगर आपका net worth एक pie chart होता, can you tell me कि हर slice which would be an asset कितना percentage hold करता है in your entire net worth?
Let me give you a broader pie first, उसके बाद break कर सकते हैं. Mutual funds is 6 CR, stocks is 1.4. Okay. तो 6 plus 1.4 जो आपने 7.4 देखा था. Then real estate is let's say 1.4. कितना पहुंच गए? 8.8 पहुंच गए, right? And let's say 1.2 is EPF and PPF put together, the provident fund part.
Got it.
इसको अगर आप एक second level में check करेंगे in terms of equity, debt and other assets. Other assets बिल्कुल ना के बराबर है. It's just gold, which is hardly 3%. From 3 3.5%. And if you include property also within debt, actually, so then debt should be around 40 odd % at the moment, and the remaining 55% would be equities. Equity को भी और break करेंगे. So then you have your large cap, mid caps, and small caps. I try and follow a 50% large cap, a 50% mid cap, and a 50% small cap, जो अभी नहीं है actually. It's currently 50% in large caps and around 30 to 33% in small caps, और बाकी mid caps पे है.
So you clearly have a very heavy, net worth that stems in the capital markets. But as capital markets के लिए capital भी चाहिए था. So now can you talk about your income streams? How many do you have? क्या आपके पास passive income streams है? How much do they contribute to your overall income? Can you tell us about that split?
Yeah. So right now, Shankar, it's so earlier it was only salary. That was the only thing which was contributing to money. Now I have my YouTube, which I do. I don't do anything other than YouTube at the moment. I started a community, but it was becoming a bit stressful for me. So I did that for a couple of months, और उसके बाद मैंने full refund कर दिया, sorry बोल दिया सबको. Everyone was upset, but I had to take care of my mental well-being also.
True.
तो अभी मेरे पास YouTube है, and YouTube क्या करता है? I get money from advertising income from YouTube. Right now I do about my videos get about 8 lakh views every month. So 8 lakh multiplied by 15 paisa comes to 1.2 lakhs.
Got it.
So 1.2 मुझे YouTube AdSense से मिल जाता है. And then I do around 4 videos a month now, 4 to 5 videos. Almost every video is sponsored. So there is some brand will come in and say कि शंकर आप मेरा एक मिनट का बीच में डाल दो as a promotional activity. So I put that in. All my viewers are mature enough to understand that uske bina you know, my survival becomes a problem. So I do that, and no one speaks bad actually. So that's a good thing. So if you take 4 multiplied by 1.2 is what I receive for every this thing on an average. So 4.8 plus 1.2, 6 lakhs.
Got it. So that's your monthly income.
That's my monthly income.
So let's just come back to the net worth bit a bit. अगर कोई एक बहुत ही normal Indian person who is maybe in their late 20s, early 30s and have a very decent modest salary of 12 to 15 LPA, which is I think a norm now. अगर उनको अपने maybe by their 40s or maybe in their early 50s, if they want to maybe have a net worth like yours, corpus like yours, what should the next 5 years of the financial journey look like?
Okay, so we'll break it into actually 3 parts. First is if you can increase your income, it helps massively, right? I know a lot of people start saying, oh, आजकल तो hike मिलता ही नहीं है, this thing. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question for every person. I can't give a generalized this thing. लोग बोलते हैं 5% ही मिलता है hike. I've never got less than 13% in my life in 22 years. So I don't know what is happening today. So that's there. But try and increase your income. Right. Number 2 is please control your expenses. That's again very important. Just because money is coming in doesn't mean it has to go out.
True.
The third thing is understand this formula very clearly. That लोग बोलते ना सर खर्चा करने के बाद कुछ बचता नहीं है इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए, right? So the problem is the formula that they use. They use a formula called income minus expenses is equal to savings or investment, if you can call it that way. You have to replace the expenses with savings and you kind of take it upar niche. So the actual formula should be income minus savings is equal to expenses.
True.
So if you allocate some money aside, you will be surprised how quickly that will grow.
Yeah.
It's insane sometimes. Like I have one of the earliest SIPs which I started in 2015 was with Parag Parikh long-term value fund.
Okay.
It was called long-term at that time. Now I think it's called Flexi Cap Fund. Right?
Okay.
The NAV then was I think 15 or 16 rupees. Today the NAV is more than 100 rupees. And on an XIRR basis, I think this has given me around 21%.
Yeah.
Over a 10-year period. So 21 over a 10-year period is a significant sum of money.
True.
Even if it was not 21%, had it been only 12%, you put 10,000 rupees every month because you said early 30s to let's say early 50s. You give me 20 years, right?
Yeah.
10,000 becomes a crore in 20 years at 12%.
So it's not really that unrealistic.
It's not that difficult. Because your income is going to increase, all that stuff, good stuff is going to happen to you. It's just going to go up. You want to bring it down even further, you can go down to as low as let's say 3,000 rupees कि मैं इतना ही बचा पाता हूँ अभी. Okay, you start with 3,000, no problem. Just increase your SIP by 1,000 rupees every year. Yeah, that's 1,000 rupees every year. This thing करते रहो करके. हाँ. So I think again in maybe 25 years you reach a crore, something like that. So think fragment wise.
Yeah.
कि चलो 10,000 तो मैं कर ही सकता हूँ. Once the strength comes in, once you get comfortable, once you start seeing on your app, अरे मेरे पास अभी 50 लाख हो गया है. It will throw some kind of a signal to you.
Yeah.
बेटा और डाल. You know,
true,
you can do better.
When you see that, little number जहाँ पे you
Green
made a
color में
profit,
देखते हो, हाँ, correct.
तो फिर वो मन करता है कि ठीक है और डाल देते हैं.
करता है.
True.
So and that's what I've learned, that you make amazing amount of wealth when you keep on averaging up. So you keep on averaging up. Invest करते रहो. You'll see that it's happening, and it will not make any change to your lifestyle. I did not have to do any sacrifices in my lifestyle to make more money or to allocate more money towards an SIP.
That is actually really fascinating to me because मैंने बहुत वीडियोस देखे जहाँ पे लोग कहते हैं कि अच्छा आपकी डेली कॉफी 300 रुपए की है. 300 इंटू जितने नंबर ऑफ डेज यूर हैविंग दिस, इतना पैसा अगर आप म्यूचुअल फंड में डालते हो तो आपका इतने सालों में इतना बहुत ज्ञान है इंटरनेट पे.
Correct.
But you're saying that you didn't make a lot of sacrifices.
No, I didn't have to, because if you take that same coffee wala example also, so what is that guy doing? That person is trying to tell you to reduce your expenses.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Remember, in that entire discussion, I just said control your expenses. I didn't say reduce your expenses, right?
True.
Control means don't go for unnecessary stuff. The trick is to increase the salary. And the trick is to keep aside money for investment and then go to your expenses. तो अगर ये दो फॉर्मूला आप समझ गए, that income increases and income minus investments is equal to expenses, I think you'll be very sorted.
अब आप entrepreneur हो, so you've been on this side of the table and you were a salaried person for a very long 25 years
22 years
22 years of your life. आपने दोनों ही worlds को experience किया है. Which do you think helps in accelerating your wealth faster, considering कि दोनों में ही अपने अपने risks और rewards हैं?
I think initially you should spend some time in a salaried environment.
Got it.
ठीक है. That's very important, because why do you want to take risk on your money? You take the risk on the other person's money, na? You'll get all kinds of risks, right? And you get all kinds of learnings. You'll learn. You'll make mistakes, but the company will be there to support you during those mistakes. वो सब चीजें छुप जाती है because company is massive, right? So you get all your learnings in play, and only when you are mentally ready, तब आपको कुछ टाइप का एक साइड बिजनेस बोल लो या सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट बोल लो, ऐसा कुछ ट्राई करना चाहिए. कुछ लोग ये गलती करते हैं, जैसे यार मैं पक चुका हूं काम से, मैं अपना बिजनेस शुरू कर रहा हूं. दैट शुड नॉट बी अ मोटिवेशन. योर मोटिवेशन हैज टू बी दैट नाउ आई एम रेडी. आई एम मेंटली रेडी. आई हैव एन आइडिया इन प्लेस. आई हैव सम मनी इन प्लेस कि अगर कल को कुछ हो गया, मुझे वापस जाना पड़ा तो होगा. एंड आई हैव नॉट बर्न्ड माय ब्रिजेस. मेरा बॉस बेकार आदमी है इसलिए मैं शुरू कर रहा हूँ. That's not the reason. So motivation is very important.
I think that is one of the things जो मैं आजकल बहुत ऑब्जर्व कर रही हूँ, that लोग अपनी 9 to 5 से थक चुके हैं, इसीलिए वो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप करना चाहते हैं, इसीलिए वो अपना बिजनेस खोलना चाहते हैं. And it's not because that is what they actually want.
That is very difficult. Because क्या होगा, ठीक है जोश में आप शुरू करोगे, but then क्या होता है, जब आप किसी कंपनी में काम करते हो आपके पास एक बहुत बड़ा सपोर्ट सिस्टम होता है.
True.
You don't even realize it. एडमिन है, जगह है, वहां पे आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दे दिया गया है, एसी चल रहा है, लैपटॉप दे दिया है आपको, आपके पास आपका मैनेजर है जो अगर आप कुछ कर नहीं पाए तो आप उसके पास जाके हेल्प ले सकते हो. HR इज देयर टू सॉल्व ऑल योर पीपल मैनेजमेंट प्रॉब्लम एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं है आपके पास. नो वन इज गोइंग टू कम टू योर रेस्क्यू. तो दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड यू हैव टू बी मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड.
If I was not wrong, आपने नेटवर्थ में आपने मेंशन करा था that 1.2% is real estate.
1.2 crores is real estate.
Considering that it's real estate, ये percentage थोड़ा सा कम है because people build they have 3, 4, 5 crore worth of real estate in their portfolios.
Yeah, I had more Shagun, because earlier when you start you have no idea, so you obviously आप अपने parents के पास जाते हैं, वो आपको सुझाव देते हैं कि ये करो वो करो. More pieces of real estate, 2 more pieces of real estate which I sold actually. So some of the money that came in, that's why when you see a large debt number, which I told you, all that stuff, I had received the proceeds, which was about, I think, 1.6, 1.7 crores. And I had to actually put that in a debt instrument. And वो debt से मेरा STP हो रहा है. So what an STP is that, money keeps on getting transferred from a debt instrument into equity. तो process अभी चल रहा है. So actually, if you see over if I can tell you what this portfolio might be 5 years from now, at the age of 50, then it will probably have equity. अभी जो 55 odd % है, that will go up to at least 70%.
But why are you, reducing the real estate, portion of your net worth? Because I feel लोग तो in fact में real estate बढ़ाते हैं. People like acquiring more real estate, more land, more this, and you are coming down. Why?
Actually, I think I have too much actually, because एक घर चाहिए रहने के लिए. And then using real estate as an investment vehicle, मुझे उतना efficient नहीं लगता है. Because बढ़ता वही 12% से ही है एक्चुअली, राइट. रेंट आपको कितना मिलेगा? 2% का रेंट मिलेगा, इतना ही रेंट ले लो, 2-2.5%, मैक्सिमम 3% होता है. बट देन उसमें भी मेंटेनेंस होता है, ये होता है, वो होता है, 4 चीज़ें और होती है. सो इफेक्टिवली व्हाट यू लुकिंग एट 14% ओवर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. इट्स नॉट वर्थ इतना माथापच्ची फॉर 14%. We can get the same 14% in a regular equity investment also.
Right. तो आपको इंटरनेट पे काफी टाइम हो गया है, बट अभी तक का आपका सबसे ज्यादा कंट्रोवर्शियल ओपिनियन क्या रहा है अबाउट मनी इन द मार्केट्स?
मुझे लगता है मैंने कुछ कंट्रोवर्शियल अभी तक दिया है, बट मैंने काफी रिसर्च ओरिएंटेड काम किया है ना. और मेरा स्टाइल वही होता है जिसमें मैं नंबर्स के साथ सब कुछ जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश करता हूँ. सो मेरे वीडियोस कुछ ज्यादा ही नंबर्स ओरिएंटेड. आप सुन नहीं सकते मेरा वीडियो, you'll have to watch it, बिकॉज वो स्क्रीन पे नंबर्स चलते रहे होंगे. बट सम थिंग्स हैव रियली वर्कड आउट वेल. कंट्रोवर्शियल नहीं बोलूंगा, बट जस्ट टू गिव यू सम आइडियाज. एक था ऑन शेमलेस क्लोनिंग. तो इफेक्टिवली मैंने ये बोला था कि क्यों अपना दिमाग लगा रहे हो, व्हाई डोंट यू जस्ट शेमलेसली क्लोन पीपल लाइक आशीष कचोलिया, मधुसूदन कीला. तो वो लोग जो ट्रेड्स करते हैं, अगर आप भी वो कर लोगे, यू कैन do 7-8% more than Nifty 50, which is a lot. Yeah.
Just by copying someone's
Just by copying someone.
But I think again, a lot of people say it's not a good practice क्योंकि आप, वहाँ पे उनके अलग से reservations होते हैं कि you don't know what the strategy is, you don't know this, that. तो will it actually generate realistic returns? अगर मैं then तो it's too easy ना कि आप copy कर लो बस.
Go with the numbers ना. मुझे ये qualitative aspect कुछ नहीं पता. देखिए, मैं इन्वेस्टिंग के टाइम में मैं आपके फियर्स को अपना इन्वेस्टिंग का पार्ट नहीं बना सकता. मैं सिर्फ नंबर्स को अपना पार्ट बना सकता हूँ. और जो मैंने इतने साल का डेटा एनालाइज किया, उसमें ये निकल के आया कि आप 23-24-25% बना सकते हो हर साल.
Just by copying someone.
अब इसको आप कंट्रोवर्शियल बोलो या बेवकूफी बोलो या वेरी इंटेलिजेंट स्टेटमेंट बोलो, बट दिस इज व्हाट नंबर सेज.
दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. आई थिंक ये कंट्रोवर्शियल है.
हाँ, you can try out multiple things, but eventually यही निकल के आया. Similarly, there's another thing called what are the 2 mutual funds where which I can just set up and this becomes like a lifetime portfolio for me. वो तो वीडियोस आते हैं ना, stocks for lifetime, सब बकवास होता है. Okay, it's useless. But I have kind of come up with this thing which I'm doing it myself, practicing it myself, wherein 2 mutual funds जिसको आप रखो, lifetime रखो, it would generally do well for you. So one is the Nifty 500 Momentum 50 index fund. It's an index fund. The second one is also an index fund, which is the Nifty 500 Value 50 index.
Okay.
अभी क्यों काम करता है? Is because ये दोनों जो funds है ना, ये थोड़े weakly correlated है. तो नॉर्मली हम लोग जब कोरिलेशन की बात करते हैं, हम इक्विटी गोल्ड की बात करते हैं, राइट. बट यहाँ पे 2 इक्विटी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स आर लिटिल वीकली कोरिलेटेड. तो जब मोमेंटम बढ़ता है, वैल्यू उतना नहीं बढ़ता है. जब मोमेंटम ऐसे गिर रहा होता है ना, वैल्यू उतना नहीं गिरता है. सो इट्स काइंड ऑफ काउंटर बैलेंसिंग ईच अदर. एंड अगर आपने पिछले 15 साल इसका एक कॉम्बिनेशन बनाया होता, 50% आपने मोमेंटम में डाला, 50% वैल्यू में डाला, यू वुड हैव मेड अबाउट 16-17%. पिछले 10 साल में यही किया होता, SIP किया होता 10 साल में. द फर्स्ट एग्जाम्पल वॉज नॉट SIP, इट वॉज अगर आपने 10,000 रुपए 15 साल के लिए डाला होता. SIP किया होता पिछले 10 साल 20.6%. Put half your money in momentum, half your money in value.
So ये 2 factors हैं, right?
2 factors.
Okay. तो इसके अलावा are there any other factors that I should keep in mind, या ये दोनों बहुत हैं?
I like these 2 factors. The one I don't like much is quality. Okay. I like low volatility. But अगर मुझे 2 factors के साथ ज्यादा खेलना है, I would prefer to play with value and momentum.
Got it.
थोड़ा रिस्क ज्यादा लेना है, you can play with alpha also.
Alpha is the return you generate.
No, alpha is not return. Alpha is also a factor. It's based on something called the Jensen's alpha. It's a bit more volatile as compared to the momentum factor. Momentum itself is volatile.
Yeah.
Alpha तो उससे भी बड़ा है. तो वो ऐसे ऐसे जाता है. Momentum ऐसे ऐसे जाता है. लो वॉलिटिलिटी थोड़ा सा ऐसे ऐसे जाता है. So
बट उसके लिए I think आपकी रिस्क एपेटाइट ज्यादा होनी चाहिए.
थोड़ी रिस्क एपेटाइट ज्यादा होनी चाहिए. So in my case, out of the almost 2 lakhs of SIP I do every month, I dedicate 15,000 to 15 थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया I think 20-25,000 I dedicate to momentum and 15,000 I dedicate to value.
आज के टाइम मार्केट में सबसे बड़ा फैड क्या है?
I'll try and answer it as slightly different. So every market मतलब हर सेक्टर एक पीरियड ऑफ ग्रोथ मैच्योरिटी सब जाता है, राइट? एंड हर एक के अंदर देर आर मल्टीपल सब सेक्टर्स इनसाइड एवरी सेक्टर आल्सो. सो आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल राइट नाउ. जैसे है एक कॉन्सेप्ट है ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन इज अ बिग कॉन्सेप्ट, राइट? हमारे देश में काफी इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन पे काम हो रहा है. ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स कंपनीज का काफी बिजनेस बढ़ रहा है. जो ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस लगाते हैं उनका बिजनेस बढ़ रहा है. सिमिलरली उसका एक सब पार्ट है विच इज स्मार्ट मीटर्स.
ओके.
सो हमारे देश में 30 करोड़ स्मार्ट मीटर चाहिए. एंड अभी बहुत काम बहुत मतलब कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है एक्चुअली, मतलब बहुत कम हो रहा है. बट स्टिल वी आर एज अ कंट्री पुटिंग इन अबाउट 80,000 मीटर्स एवरी डे. एवरी डे. ओके, स्मार्ट मीटर्स एवरी डे. बट वो एक टाइम आएगा जब वो बंद हो जाएगा. You know, because you've installed it in houses, 4-5 साल हो गया, कवर हो गया, तो वो एक मेच्योरिटी फेज में आ जाएगा. सिमिलरली जैसे आप रेलवेज में देखते हैं, बहुत बात हो रही है वो कवच सिस्टम का. अब एक बार आप कवच सब में डाल देंगे फिर क्या होगा? देन द नेक्स्ट लेवल ऑफ ग्रोथ फॉर दोस कंपनीज हैज टू कम कि आपने एक्सपोर्ट किया आउटसाइड ऑफ इंडिया, इंडोनेशिया या इधर उधर जाके बांग्लादेश में आपने ट्रेन सिस्टम डाल दिया, वही हो सकता है. सो every kind of sector will go through that period. अभी आप पेंट्स में देख रहे हैं. पेंट्स is one of those sectors. एशियन पेंट्स अगर आप थोड़ा पुराना डेटा निकाल के देखेंगे, it used to clock 17, 18, 20% per year sales CAGR.
Yeah.
Now it's like not even zero sometimes. In certain quarters it's minus 4% and everything. तो वहाँ पे भी एक level of maturity आ गया है उस particular market में. So I would not try and run behind those kinds of companies. I would prefer to run behind more sunrise sectors जो बड़े हो सकते हैं. I like unique businesses. Okay. Businesses which are doing something which cannot be replicated so quickly and उनके पास एक market share बड़ा है.
तो हमने बहुत बातें कर ली हैं अब, stocks, mutual funds, everything. But I think I and the audience needs a little bit of a proof.
Okay.
तो मुझे आपका पोर्टफोलियो देखना है, एसेट एलोकेशन देखना है, स्टॉक पोर्टफोलियो, म्यूचुअल, एवरीथिंग जो भी आप लीगली हमें दिखा सकते हो. Please show us.
Done. ठीक है, let's start with the overall portfolio itself. कितना बोला था? 7.4 CR कुछ बोला था?
7.43.
हाँ, let's go to.
That's a number I remember.
Yes. Let's go to INDmoney.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.44 लगता है market up है, so good thing. Yeah, so you can see the stocks here. It's 1.39 crores. I think it's at 1.4. And this is mutual funds. It's at 6 CR at the moment.
Got it.
You can go inside that. So let's go into mutual funds. There's a return of 45. This is I think lifetime return if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
XIRO should be around 11-12 कुछ होना चाहिए %. Let's see. 11.45. This is debt and equity put together. I don't know if I said it earlier that earlier I was very debt heavy.
Yeah.
So
now you're kind of siphoning that into equity.
Also that house which I had sold, उसका जो पैसा है वो भी मैंने डेट में डाला. अब वो एक करके मतलब हर महीना कुछ 3 लाख रुपए मूव होता है towards equity, right? Because that's the STP I've created for myself. Yeah. So all that stuff is there, and of course these numbers will look very different, the portfolio mix and everything 5 years from now.
True.
Okay.
Also अभी आपके पोर्टफोलियो में कितने म्यूचुअल फंड्स हैं?
बहुत है. Must be around 70 of them. 60 तो होंगे कम से कम.
70 म्यूचुअल फंड्स.
70. अब उसमें से equity would be about 25-26 of them. But actually शगुन ऐसा है that ये सब पुराने पाप है, right? But actually I focus on only some 8, 9, maximum 10 SIPs at the moment.
That is the thing in normal account because 60 mutual funds in one portfolio is too much.
Like if you ask me which are those funds, I will not remember, but I remember my 10 SIPs because that's where my focus is at the moment.
Got it. So can we talk a little bit about these 10 mutual funds that you're talking about?
Sure.
Where are they? Focus on? Are they sector based? What factors do you focus on? Everything.
I'll give you the theory of it first. I think that will be a bit easier. I do something called a 3x3 matrix. Okay, I've talked about it in many of my videos also, but this really helps me. So what I do is on one axis, let's say the y axis, I would put in all the market caps there. So what do you have? You have large caps, you have mid caps, and you have small caps. Small micros, sab ek sath, theek hai. And on the x-axis, I would have different styles of investing. So what are the different styles of investing? There is the growth style of investing. There's the value style of investing. You've had podcasts with fund managers. Ye sab suna hoga bahut. And then there is the momentum style of investing. So I'm using one factor at the moment. Actually, I'm using two factors. I'm using value as well as momentum, right?
Got it.
So I have these things. And then my focus is to fill in this box. So let's take some examples. I spoke about Parag Parikh FlexiCap. ठीक है, वैसे तो वो ग्रोथ भी करता है, वैल्यू ब्लेंडेड है थोड़ा सा, बट लेट्स अज्यूम इट्स ब्लेंडेड. And Parag Parikh puts most of it in large caps only. Mid caps is very small, small caps तो ना के बराबर है. So effectively, if I want to fill up this box, ये वाला जो box है, I can put in PPFA's FlexiCap here.
Yes.
I want to fill up, let's say, the momentum box, and let's say I want to fill up the small cap momentum box. So, or the mid and small cap momentum box. So what can I do here? I can probably look at Mirai Asset. They have something, I think it's called the Nifty, बहुत लंबा नाम है, Nifty mid small 400 momentum quality 100 fund, something like that.
I'm going to deviate a bit. ये जो इतना लंबा फंड का नाम है, क्या आप इसको ब्रेक डाउन कर सकते हैं?
Yeah, sure. So Mirai Asset, it's the AMC, okay? Then Nifty mid small 400. So what it's trying to say is that the stocks which are selected in this particular fund, they come from the mid small 400 index. What is the mid small 400 index? It is 150 stocks which comprise of the Nifty mid cap 150.
Okay.
Plus another 250 stocks which comprise of the Nifty small cap 250 index.
Got it.
तो दोनों को जोड़ दिया आपने, 400 का यूनिवर्स मिल गया, राइट? तो ये हो गया. अब इस 400 के यूनिवर्स में से निफ्टी इंडेक्सेस, व्हिच इज द क्रिएटर ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स, उसने एक मेथोडोलॉजी बनाया है जिसके अंदर इट ट्राइज टू पिक a few stocks, मुझे याद नहीं कितने stocks, let's assume it's about 30 stocks. It picks up 30 stocks which comprise of the momentum and the quality 100 है, तो मतलब 100 stocks है इसके अंदर.
Got it.
So it comprises of momentum and quality. I'll tell you how this might work. I don't remember. But quality is what? Quality is effectively there is good earnings growth, for example, okay, or some other parameter like that. So it's trying to first see कौन से ऐसे stocks हैं 400 में से जिसमें अच्छा earnings growth हुआ है, and they're also trying to see कि कौन से वो stocks हैं जो थोड़ा run up कर गए, which is the momentum is there on the positive side for them.
Got it. So quality is basically जिसके fundamental strong है.
Exactly.
And momentum is volatility.
No, momentum is where stock price is accelerating.
Okay, got it.
Over the last 6 months or 3 months, whatever the methodology is. ठीक है, so a combination of these two, out of the universe of 400, 100 stocks are being picked up. ठीक है, अब इस तरह आप बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं. जैसे you want to do large caps, you can try out ICICI blue chip, for example. ठीक है, मिड कैप आपको करना है, ओके, दिस वन लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर बाइंग, बट थोड़ा पीब्स का हाई है. मोतीलाल ओसवाल मिड कैप fund, right? Similarly, you can have something for small cap, let's say the HDFC small cap, right? Similarly, within value, I can look at something, कुछ तो available होगा. Like for example, अभी मैंने large caps वैसे PPFAs डाला है, but you can have the Nifty 50 value 20.
Okay.
If you want a kind of a broader this thing, I could have just done this, and I could have done the Nifty 500 value 50 fund. It's an index fund once again.
Okay.
So see what I've done here. I have taken, let me fill up this also so that this entire box is done. Nifty 200 momentum 30 index fund. Okay. So which are the index funds? I have these two are index. I'm just going to mark it here. This is also index.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is all active funds. So what I've done, Shagun, is लोग बोलते हैं ना आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स सोचो, आई एम थिंकिंग इनसाइड द बॉक्स. सो इससे मेरा फायदा ये हो जाता है, इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग टू थिंक अबाउट 2000 schemes which are there in today's industry and every month another 50 schemes are coming in, I think only this thing, ये मेरा बॉक्स है, I am very comfortable with this box. So it gives a lot of clarity to me.
Yeah.
Plus I am not कि एक्टिव करना है या पैसिव करना है, दोनों करो.
You have a healthy mix of both.
I जो आपको फायदा हो वो करो. Like momentum में there are a lot of momentum this thing indices, but active funds are very less. गिने चुने हैं Samco, Quant, Motilal, Axis.
Yeah.
So very very less, right? And they don't have a history of performance. But here I have a history of performance with this Nifty 200 Momentum 30. I also define what's the percentage of my corpus, how much should be within large, mid and small. So you remember I told you 50% in large, 25% in mid and 25% in small.
Yeah.
So this is what I follow. And here I follow a 70%, 15% and a 15% here. These numbers might change over time because अभी momentum तो अभी शुरू किया है पिछले 3 साल के अंदर. But for now, this is what at least my target is of having 70, 15, 15 here and 20, 25, 25. But what I want you to appreciate here is the simplicity of it, and having a structure behind what you do helps you. So if someone tells me कौन सा scheme खरीदूं, my immediate question is तुम्हारा portfolio कैसे constructed है? Wealth isn't created in picking the right schemes. Wealth is created in picking the right portfolio, and that's what I've seen. So now this portfolio, it kind of counteracts with each other. कि जब large cap बढ़ रहा है, mid cap उतना नहीं बढ़े, कोई बात नहीं. I have enough of everything to take care of me.
So you're very well diversified. And
I think I'm extremely well diversified here. And people ask questions, over diversification हो गया.
मेरा अगला question
क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार? See, if two funds are both liking, let's say HDFC Bank, how can that be a bad thing? If two people whose life and whose incentives and their entire compensation is dependent on picking the right stocks, and if both of them are saying HDFC Bank is good, how can that be a bad thing? You can't challenge the fund manager and say कि तुम्हें कुछ आता नहीं है करके, unless you are so good. So unnecessary kind of variables are not required. So keep the most important variables, and there's a lot of money to be made. So this particular thing, this is still kind of a recent invention. 4 साल से मैं इसको follow कर रहा हूँ इस structure को.
Okay.
But even otherwise, it's 16% plus तो होगा. You want to see कितना हुआ?
Actually वही मैं बोला रही हूँ. Now let's talk about returns.
So I'll use value research online. हम थोड़े पुराने ज़माने वाले लोग हैं. I've been using this for like donkey's years. 15 साल से use कर रहा हूँ. Okay, so this is the portfolio. You can see 11.5% as a over a lifetime. This is what has happened, and that's primarily because it's a combination of debt and equity here.
Got it.
So you see, within mutual funds itself, the equity part, it has done for me 16.8%. This is XIRR, so which I think is a good deal, right? Over 10 plus years.
True.
So the reason why the overall portfolio is on the lower side is because of this thing, the debt part, which is only 6.3, and initially when I started, the portfolio was more debt heavy. So then it came out, kind of reduced over time. So abhi halat ye hai that the equity part is this thing. Now hybrid, see, actually in my portfolio, see the hybrid thing is like pretty heavy at the moment. But this will come down over time because ye STPs hai iske andar bhi.
Okay.
So within the hybrid and within debt, there are certain STPs which are there. So those are coming down. And obviously the portfolio will be very different as we go along. So
from what I can tell is that आप debt and hybrid में जो भी basically आप debt segment को कम कर रहे हो, and you're trying to focus more on your equity portfolio. Can I share one more concept with you? This will also be very helpful. I'm sure you would have read some books, and even financial planners also talk about it, that there is something called the 100 minus age rule. Yeah. And उतना आपका equity में होना चाहिए. हाँ, इतना करके equity में होना चाहिए. So I'll pose a question to you, and then we'll see what you respond. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So if your age is, let's say 40, for example, then it says that your equity portion has to be 100 minus 40, so it should be 60, and your non-equity can be the rest of it. 40. Yeah, this is what it says. Now this might seem very okay for a lot of people, but let's say there is this 40-year-old and his corpus is 2 crores. Okay. So by that equation, it's saying that equity में आपको डालना पड़ेगा 1.2 crores. Yeah, this is what goes into equity, and what goes into debt? 80. It's 80 lakhs. Assume this 40-year-old now doesn't have
2 crores. He has 20 crores. Would you suggest him to put 8 crores in debt?
No, that is way too much for debt considering the returns.
Exactly. So that's the issue, right? So this is something you would not suggest to that person.
True.
So that's how I also started looking at my stuff. So if this is my total corpus, let me just shade this for you. Instead of saying that, okay, I need so much in equity and so much in debt, I said, no, I don't need so much in debt. I just need this much in debt. So what I started to do is, I started to create this concept of a safety cushion for me.
Okay.
तो मेरे में अब एक safety cushion बन गया है, which I have defined for myself as around 2 crores.
That's how much you prefer keeping in debt.
In non-equity assets.
Okay.
Okay, I'm excluding land for now.
Yeah.
So this is, let's say, my EPF, PPF debt all put together. अभी थोड़ा ज़्यादा है 2 से, but in my head it's like 2.5 crores, not more than that.
Okay.
So what this did for me, it kind of clarified my thinking further. तो अब जो भी पैसा आता है वो डेट में जाता ही नहीं है. Everything starts going into equity. So I'm trying to now get into the wealth creation stage of mine rather than relying on a old irrelevant 100 minus age rule.
Yeah.
So I call it the safety cushion approach.
Okay.
So I've kept those 2 CR as my safety cushion. It'll always be safe because this is in safe assets like debt, property, gold, etc. And every other rupee I am able to save, it's all going into equity now.
तो ये 2 करोड़ का नंबर कहाँ से आया कि सिर्फ इतना आप डेट में जाना
वो कोई साइंटिफिक प्रोसेस नहीं है इसके लिए. यू हैव टू बी कंफर्टेबल विद दैट नंबर.
ओके. एंड अगर कोई बिगिनर इन्वेस्टर ये सेफ्टी कुशन अपना क्रिएट करना चाह रहा हो, then if not this formula, then how should they devise कि उनको डेट में कितना करना है?
So don't do it immediately. Safety cushion is created over a period of time. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको सबसे पहले अपना सेफ्टी कुशन क्रिएट करना है, उसके बाद ही आप इक्विटी में डाल सकते हो. ऐसा नहीं है. यू डू द वे यू वांट टू डू इट, बिकॉज आपका सेफ्टी कुशन बन रहा है इवन विदाउट यू नोइंग इट. अगर आपके पास एक प्रोविडेंट फंड है, ईपीएफ है, वो बन रहा है, यू डोंट इवन नो दैट ही बन रहा है. बट आपके दिमाग में एक आइडिया होना चाहिए कि मेरे को एट द एज ऑफ लेट्स से 35 मेरे पास कितना मेरा सेफ्टी कुशन होना चाहिए, बिकॉज आफ्टर दैट इट फ्रीज अप योर माइंड. बिकॉज यू नो योर फाइनेंशियल्स आर सेफ.
I think investing in debts till a certain extent allows you to be more free with equity, क्योंकि आपका वो risk taking capacity बढ़ जाता है.
Exactly.
And now that we're in this note, other than debt, आपने और safety precautions क्या ले रखे हैं to get a hedge against any risk that you might have because you heavily invest in it?
Yeah, so one is the real estate which I have, the land which is there. I have a little bit on in gold also, not a big amount. ठीक है, मुझे लगता नहीं 3% से ज़्यादा होगा. See, it's such a pitiful amount, hardly 8-9 lakhs which is there. Okay. This is mostly in gold only. Let me just tap on it also. It's all gold only, all right? Gold. So it's not a big number at all. So I should have put in more. Now I feel I've made a mistake. Okay. The reason why I didn't put too much on gold, because over the long term, gold has delivered about 9.5%. Yeah. तो मुझे लगा कि यार ठीक है, equities is better than gold. That's the thing. But I should have done a bit more. So these are the things that one can employ, right? So you can look at gold, you can look at your property, and you have debt.
And in gold आपने किस तरीके से invest कर रखा है?
It's right now only in this gold fund which is there. Okay. The other ways of doing it is obviously physical gold, digital gold, and all that stuff. I have just done mutual funds for them. So I'm not someone who likes to do too many platforms. कि भाई चले गए डिजिटल गोल्ड के लिए कहीं और कर रहे हो, PMS कर रहे हो, ये कर रहे हो. I have a very small set of products which I utilize. Just to keep some money aside for a rainy day. It's like hardly 5 lakh rupees in FDs. That's it. Then I have my savings account. I have my EPF, PPF, I have mutual funds, stocks, and real estate.
Mutual funds is great. Can we now talk about your stock portfolio as well?
Sure.
I just want to know, what are your top performers, your biggest winners, what did you regret? आपका strategy क्या होता है when you're picking out stocks for yourself?
Okay, so it's stocks, right? So it's right now at almost 1.4. Yeah, so these are the holdings at the moment. I don't know how much I can show, but let me show a few of them. So it's across. And you're asking me, what do I really see in these stocks, right?
But before that, can I know how many stocks do you have if you know?
about 25-26 of them.
That's not a. I mean, considering that आपका 60 mutual funds है, 25-26 stocks.
Because a lot of them are kind of tracking stocks also. कि उसमें मैंने 1-1.5 लाख रुपए डाल के रखा हुआ है just for kind of getting the wheels in motion. कि कल को मुझे अच्छा लगेगा तो मैं और करता रहूँगा करके. These are obviously the ones where I had invested and for some time I've invested this thing. तो सब इतना हो गया है. Now. Like this first one, this Himadri, I invested in this when the price was 42. So it's right now at 498.
42.
That's the lowest. Wow. But if you see the average price, it's 152. So I have this habit of averaging up.
Okay.
Because if I want to grow my wealth, I can't stick on the laurels of 42. कि मैंने उस टाइम पे जो 50,000 रुपए डाला था मैं उसी में बैठा हूँ. I have to keep on investing more. And that obviously happens at a slightly higher number, right? So वो हो रहा है. But the question is, why do I invest more? I invest more if I see that the EPS is growing, the earnings per share is growing. And for me, the most important element is earnings per share. Because when I buy a stock, Shagun, I want to buy it for the long term. मैं वो रोज का वो trading सब तो करता नहीं हूँ. So it's all for the long run only. And the one element where I put in the maximum focus is the earnings per share. That will this stock grow the EPS being the net profits divided by the number of shares, will it grow this thing by 15-20% for a long time?
Correct. तो काफी jargon and काफी metrics होते हैं for every stock and EPS seems to be your favorite. But इसके अलावा can you tell us maybe, I mean, 2 other metrics that you always keep an eye on कि अगर ये चीजें positive है, that means that I'm probably going to add it to my portfolio.
We'll also look at the P ratio. That's very important. The price to earning ratio, which is also connected to the EPS, because now you're just adding another element, which is the valuation of that particular thing. So for example, in this set I have, right? So Himadri, when I bought Himadri, the P ratio was very low. I think it was probably 20 or something like that. Now it should be around 40-50 or something. Banco, when I bought it was like 8. Now it's around 18, if I'm not wrong. Persistent, when I bought was like 25-30. Now it's I think 80 if I'm not wrong. Persistent is one of the higher growth this thing, right?
And in your stock portfolio, आपने large, mid and small इसके
mine is mostly small.
Mostly small.
Mostly small. So again, when I go back to that mutual fund वाला जो आपने देखा था ना, where I said I want to do that 50%, 25%, 25%, my mutual funds are more on large caps and mid caps. Small caps उतने नहीं है मेरे पास. But वो small caps मैं कैसे उसको compensate करता हूँ? By having my stock portfolio in small caps.
Got it.
So right now, of everything I have, out of this 1.4, you can probably say 80-83% is small caps. About 15% is mid caps. And जो बाकी बच गया, that is large cap. I don't know what is the large cap. I have Hero Motorcorp, maybe that's the large cap. I don't know. Hero Motorcorp bhi kafi pitta hai, so I don't know if it's still a large cap or it's a mid cap. I don't know that, but that's the only one I have, which I think is the large company.
But then again, small caps just in general scare a lot of investors, and again, it's such a hit or miss, right? आपको नहीं पता if it's gonna do well or not in the long term even. What is your strategy when you're picking out? I mean, EPS is one thing.
Correct.
But do you look at the business and do you go and take a deeper dive into what is happening with the entire company?
Yes, you have to do that. So understanding the business is very important. Understanding the management is important. Because in small caps, you generally see that it's the promoter has probably 60-65% of the
company,
equity, right? And basically what do you do when you buy a small cap company? You are trusting that management to deliver good returns to you.
Yeah.
And small caps, finding good people is very difficult. So you're actually trying, you're betting on the promoter that he will do a good job for you, right?
Yeah.
So that becomes a very crucial scenario for you. Otherwise, your regular stuff is there. You're looking for sales growth should be high. You're looking for sectors which have decent tailwinds in them. You're looking for unique business. There are a lot of companies which are very unique. I was just looking at one the other day, Vishnu Chemicals, very unique business. Because this is a business, which has chromium deposits, chromium ore karke hota hai. Okay. Chromium is required for stainless steel. There's a line which I read which kind of got my attention. It said that China, which is the largest stainless steel manufacturer, it manufactures like 40% of the world's stainless steel. But its chromium deposits, which is very important for creating stainless steel, is only 2%.
Oh.
So, eternally I was like so happy that at least there is something where China is not number one and it has to actually import from countries like India, South Africa, where we have chromium deposits. So that's that business. And these guys have kind of got a lot of these chromium, this thing, and there's another element that they have. So I try and look for unique businesses, and in small cap you get a lot of unique businesses.
And जब आपने identify करा कि ठीक है ये काफी unique business है,
हाँ.
do you also then look for its competitors and rivals to invest heavily into that entire sector, या आप एक कंपनी को लेके उसी पे आप bet करते हो?
मैं जनरली एक कंपनी लेके बैठ करता हूँ. सो अगर यूनिक बिजनेस होता है उसके पास कॉम्पिटिटिव होता ही नहीं है. लाइक यू टेक you saw one Zaggle लिखा हुआ था नीचे, बिल्कुल नीचे. Zaggle is very unique. It's in the spends management space. It's a very unique business. कोई ज्यादा कॉम्पिटिटिव है नहीं. BLS करके एक कंपनी है जो वीजा के लिए धक्के मारना खाना पड़ता है ना हमें, तो वो it's mainly 2-3 companies in the entire world. There is VFS, there is BLS, and there are a couple more major companies. So these 4 companies put together have 90% of the world market.
Oh wow. So
you can't do anything. And imagine this line of you standing for a visa. वो आया आपके पास बोलता है एक फोटोकॉपी का 100 रुपए लगेगा मैम. What can you do? You can't do anything, right? You'll have to pay that 100 rupees.
True.
So that's the kind of business you really want to invest into, because where you know that the consumer is desperate for that business.
True.
So these guys have pricing power with them. That whatever they command, you'll have to pay for that. You know? So you're looking for those kinds of businesses. So just to go back to what you asked me, I'm looking for unique businesses. I'm looking for good promoters. I'm looking for companies that are increasing their sales and their earnings per share. Okay, Shankar, I'll just show you one more thing. This is trend line. You have Nifty 50. Okay. Now, I want you to look at this one, Nifty 50 EPS. Okay, I've been talking about this EPS thing.
Yeah.
Now, why did I talk about? So look at this. This is 1 year, and it's very erratic, right? So the pink line represents the EPS, while the green line represents the actual value of the Nifty.
Okay.
Now, I want you to look at all. Can you see? It seems like a mirror image of each other.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. That your EPS is the one that defines your Nifty value. And I think the same principle works for most of the stocks. If your EPS is growing, your stock price should grow, unless it's like supremely overvalued.
Yeah.
But if it's like a regular scenario,
I can see a little bit of a lag at some places,
Correct.
and them going in opposite directions, but more or less the trend line is the same.
So those are periods of over and undervaluation. So what you see here was a period of undervaluation, because your EPS was still growing, but because the world had just come out of the global financial crisis, your stock price was on the lower end. The reverse happened, in other years. From time to time. So ये सब होता रहता है ऊपर नीचे, but the concept is simple, that your corporate earnings are nothing but, or rather the ulta, your stock prices are nothing but a slave to corporate earnings.
Yeah.
If you control the corporate earnings, if you find stocks, which have been growing their EPS at 20%, believe me, 9 out of 10 times only good things will happen to you.
That is a good learning, I think. So, like you said, कि आपने small cap stocks में heavily आपने invest कर रखा है. There are hundreds and hundreds of funds of stocks in the country. अब और वो भी when you come down to the small cap वाले universe, obviously there's a lot of
stocks हैं.
Yeah. तो मतलब कितने percentage of funds do you think are going to make you an enormous amount of wealth? And I'm going to let you define what enormous would be.
आपको तो एक ही स्टॉक चाहिए एक्चुअली. यू नीड टू बी राइट वंस टू मेक ट्रेमेंडस अमाउंट ऑफ वेल्थ. आपको रोज बैठ के करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आप एक स्टॉक उठाइए, द वेरिएबल शुड बी राइट, ट्रैक इट प्रॉपर्ली, एंड यू कैन मेक क्रेजी अमाउंट ऑफ वेल्थ.
एंड आपके लिए वो एक स्टॉक कौन सा रहा है?
जो आप लोग बोलते हैं मेगा मल्टी बैगर, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. देयर हैज बीन अ मेगा मल्टी रिग्रेट, if I can probably share that with you. You might have heard of this company, I'm sure. You've heard of this company, Titan company?
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, I'm old school, so I call it Titan Industries. Because जब मैंने पहली बार invest किया था, it was Titan Industries.
Okay.
So what's the market cap? It's 3,13,000 crores, right? When I first invested in this company, it was somewhere, okay, you take a guess. How much was the market cap when I first invested in it?
And how long ago did you first invest in it?
20 years back.
20 years back, 3 lakh crore है. a wild guess would be maybe 15,000 crore. उससे ज़्यादा growth is difficult, I think.
It was 300 crores.
So you've seen the stock go from 300 crore.
I have regretfully seen that stock grow from 300 crores to 3 lakh crores. I sold it very early, this particular stock. But look at this for a number. This is the latest quarter. The profit that this company did was 870 crores in a single quarter, which means in a month, the profit that Titan Industries does is 300 crores. And 20 years back, you would buy the entire company at 300 crores.
That is insane.
So it's 1000x story in 20 years, which is like crazy, right?
That is one. Like अगर मेरे पास सिर्फ एक ये मल्टी बैगर स्टॉक होता, शायद मेरी पूरी लाइफ, yeah.
जिंदगी बन गया.
Wow, I should have been born like 40 years ago so that I could have invested in this.
No, that's not the right way of looking at it, because you will get these opportunities even now.
Yeah, but I think usko identify karna, and again, like this is one of 5,000 small cap stocks that you like you said.
Correct.
Identifying this is so difficult.
It is difficult, right? So it's not like, a life partner ki, you've got a life partner and you live with him or her. Here, it's a principle of identifying a particular company and then tracking that company and seeing if what your investment thesis was, वो अभी भी valid है कि नहीं. क्योंकि as I told you, वो हर चीज में growth, maturity, decline वो सब होता रहता है. तो इधर भी होता है. अभी जो Titan भी आप देख रहे हैं, they have tough periods over the last 20 years for this company also.
Yeah.
We'll take an international example for you. Apple, right? Which is like the world's most valuable company. In the last 40 years or 30 years, there have been 4 instances when the value of Apple, the stock, it dropped by 40%.
Apple dropping by 40%.
Correct. 4 times it's happened in the last 30 odd years, right? So every company it happens.
But then क्या आप उसको correction बोलोगे या drop बोलोगे? Because at some point I think हर company over valuations बढ़ जाती हैं and then
generally correction होता है because वो overvalue हो गया, उसके बाद वो गिरा है, ऐसे होता है. It's right sizing.
Okay.
Because as long as you're not looking at the stock price only, you will actually do well.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose between looking at the stock price and looking at the EPS, मैं ज़्यादा EPS देखता हूँ.
Okay.
Because अगर EPS बढ़ रहा है, you don't have to worry. Can I show you one more? Because we saw my portfolio list, so let me just show you this. So Kaplan Point Labs, right? So this is something I bought and I've been kind of tracking this thing. So when you tap on P ratio, can you see the EPS? The blue bars are the EPS.
Yeah.
Can you see a consistent growth that's happening?
Yes.
So just keep on growing.
It's pretty linear actually if you look at
it. is. कभी मुझे थोड़ा सा सस्पेक्ट होता है कभी मुझे ये ऐसा क्यों चल रहा है करके, but they have a strategy around why it's happening and stuff. You saw one more company there, Persistent Systems.
Yeah.
Look at the EPS here.
Oh, this again is very.
So you see, that's what I'm trying to identify. Because my mathematics says that these are probably where the winners are. Okay, was there another one we saw? Bank को देखा था ना हमने?
जी.
Okay, let's look at this. Yeah, a little bit staggered. It's in the auto ancillary space. It's a little bit staggered, but ठीक है. Generally, the trend is again upwards.
Yeah, and also, so the line is what?
The line is the P ratio. The blue line is the P ratio, and the blue bars are the EPS.
Okay, so from my observation is that it is sticking very close to the EPS, the PE ratio.
नहीं, the P ratio will go up and down because there are going to be periods of overvaluation and undervaluation, right? More than the P ratio is a good entry point for you to understand. But if you want to keep a business for long, like Titan, for example, and we go through Titan also, focus more on the EPS.
Got it.
Let's look at Titan also very quickly. ये सब out of syllabus है क्या आपका?
हाँ, थोड़ा सा, but it is interesting.
Yeah, so look at this. So during COVID times, it went in. But if you ignore this one period, you can see that nice jump up which has happened for Titan over so many periods of time.
Yeah.
You also talked about the P ratio. See, it obviously went up extremely high during the COVID period. So it's more of an aberration, right? But from 2018 onwards, you can see consistently it's been around that 80 to 90 के आसपास.
True. So from what I've understood is that you mostly pick out small cap stocks.
Yep.
And वहाँ पे भी you pick them on the basis of their EPS.
Correct.
And also you look at the PE ratio.
Correct. and I would understand obviously the business model
The business model.
and the management quality as well.
And also, I have a question. So, क्या आप सिर्फ इंडिया में ही इन्वेस्ट करते हो या do you have investments outside of the country as well?
Little bit. I do only index investing. तो मेरा एसेट फैंग प्लस करके एक स्कीम है, so फैंग प्लस इंडेक्स, so that's where I have some money. I have some money in Nasdaq 100.
Okay.
ये सब मिला के this won't be a big number. This would be maybe around 15 odd lakhs.
तो इंटरनेशनल मार्केट्स में इन्वेस्ट करने का आपका इंटेंट इज टू डाइवर्सिफाई और इज इट टू ग्रो वेल्थ?
So there was two intentions. One was to diversify, and second, you would have noticed it's Nasdaq and the FANG Plus index. These are very tech oriented. This thing.
Okay.
Now in India, we don't have as much technology oriented. So हम लोग जो IT बोलते हैं इंडिया में, it's actually more of your outsourcing work.
Yeah.
You know, your Infosys, TCS, and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no product based.
There's service
tech
based
actually.
companies. Yeah.
Service based companies. So that's why I wanted that as some part of my portfolio, which is why, you know, these things are there. Plus obviously the diversification part. But itna chota amount hai, it doesn't even look like diversification to me. So just assume that's 15 lakh money which I've put into these high tech companies, which can probably give me a better clip.
क्या आप मुझे अपने टॉप फेवरेट प्लेटफॉर्म्स के बारे में बता सकते हैं जो आप स्टॉक एनालिसिस, रिसर्च या मार्केट अपडेट्स के लिए यूज करते हो?
So first is obviously your screener, very important tool. You got watch lists you can create, and you've got all kinds of tools. You want to understand, you know, who's buying what. You got latest announcements. I think this takes care of a lot of things. Screener, number one for me. Second is I like to read a lot of research reports that come out. So I don't have a subscription per se. So what I do is I go to Telegram, and then you have these different kinds of reports which are there. These are free reports. People are just putting it in, and you can just extract anything you want. So, like for example, this Philip Capital guy. So you just download it, and then I just open it up, and I kind of.
But how do you verify कि आपके Telegram पे जो चीज़ आ रही है? Because I think हर कोई किसी न किसी Telegram ग्रुप में होता है, and how do you identify कि कौन सा shady है and कौन सा legitimate?
No, these are all. I mean, Philip Capital, etc., are all known equity research firms.
Okay.
So generally, these are the kind of things that will come in, and I just use it to kind of get an idea. I do my own independent research. ये तो सिर्फ एक कि भाई और लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं, पड़ोसी क्या बोल रहे हैं वो समझने के लिए है. Otherwise, I don't look too much into it actually.
Okay.
Focus more on my own independent research. So that's there.
Got it.
I have some subscriptions which I try and take up. There is this gentleman who does this, the Rap. Okay, I really like. So this is by a guy named Tariq Hussain.
Yes.
And it's got all kinds of good stuff inside it. Okay. Every week he has this one video call which happens, so I would listen to it, and then everything is there. So again, good stuff. So I like listening to it. I have a subscription for Sovereign, which is more into small caps and micro caps.
Okay.
It's good. The only thing is, you know, Sovereign कुछ ज़्यादा ही information दे देता है. So sometimes it becomes a little this thing. But they have kind of categorized everything into nice buckets and everything. So yeah, these are generally the kind of things I do. Otherwise, your regular Twitter is obviously available. But I'm kind of reducing the Twitter readouts because बहुत flim flam ज़्यादा होता है इसके अंदर. I subscribe to almost every newspaper, the newsletter of the newspaper, so that it drops into my inbox.
Got it.
And then in the evening आराम से मैं उसको scan कर लेता हूँ कि क्या है, क्या बोल रहा है.
Okay.
Some people are experts in certain things. So for example, there's a gentleman named Sajal Kapoor who has Anti-Fragile करके Substack है. So I read that Substack. You know, he talks a lot about CDMO companies, chemical companies, etc. So I've kind of picked up these small kind of people who are into niche areas. So that's there. And if I want to, you know, do regular reading and I want to refresh on value investing, you know, which is how I learned, I go to my professor who taught me at MDI, Professor Bakshi.
Okay.
So he's called the Fundu Professor. That's his Twitter handle. It's his blog, this thing, and wealth of information. So you can always go there and joggle your, you know, kind of brain cells.
Yeah.
So it'll really help you out. So these are the resources.
Got it. You use Screener a lot. I've seen you using it across so many of your videos. क्या कोई ऐसा फीचर है जो आपको लगता है कि सीजन इन्वेस्टर्स लाइक यू यूज बट बेसिक इन्वेस्टर्स को उसके बारे में अभी नहीं पता?
So I think screener, as the name says, it's for screening, right? So obviously everything has to start from here only. right? So you go to your stock screener, इनके पास already काफी कुछ बना हुआ है, मैंने कुछ बनाए थे, then they have other themes and all that stuff. वैसे तो इसी में ही काफी कुछ काम हो जाता है, but I do create certain screens. So for example, a very simple screen can be identify stocks where suddenly something good seems to be happening. Okay, so some shake-up has happened or something good has happened. So for example, all you're looking for is that give me stocks where the sales growth in this quarter as compared to the previous year's same quarter, so Q4 of FY25 versus Q4 of FY24, where the sales growth has, I mean, sales have doubled.
Okay.
So it means something has happened. Okay. I'm sure इसमें काफी companies आएंगे. Okay, 390 odd companies. Let's go to the market cap also. So see, you have, these are all going to be popular names, right?
Yeah.
Dixon Technologies, Bharat Dynamics, which is into defense, renewable energy, OneSource Specialty, Zen Technology again, this thing. Look at OneSource Specialty, right? So here, when I go in, now notice the sales, 34, 56, 73, 78, and then 334, 393 and 4. So something has happened here.
Yeah.
So this joggles my head. Oh, what has happened here?
Yeah.
Can it happen a little more? Yeah. Another competitor, I mean, in the same business, the CDMO business. See, even their website name is OneSource CDMO. Wow. There is a company called Blue Jet Healthcare. Similar stuff has happened here also. So I go back to the quarterly results. Look at the sales, right? Always between 200, 150 to 200.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have 318. And suddenly you have 340. So something has happened here in these 2 quarters.
Yeah.
I read upon it. ऐसा क्या हो गया? And now let me show you the impact of this. Your net profit, which was always around 50, suddenly jumped up to 100.
Oh my God, that's more than doubled.
Now, isn't this something you and I want? We want the EPS to be high.
Yeah.
So the EPS has gone up from some 2.5 lakhs to an average of 6 rupees per quarter. So it's 12 rupees over the last 2 quarters, right? अब ये 12 रुपए समझ लो कंटिन्यू हो गया और 2 क्वार्टर के लिए, तो आपका पूरा साल का कितना हो गया EPS? 24 रुपए. What's your current price?
870.
It's 870. 870 divided by 24 रुपए कितना बनेगा मोटा मोटा? Some 35, 36 का P ratio. What is the current P ratio?
49.
It is 50. So this is one way of looking at things. Oh, okay, maybe अगर ये 2 क्वार्टर और कंटिन्यू कर लेगा, then the actual P ratio should ideally be around 35, 36 for this company.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's overvalued or undervalued. I'm just giving you an idea as to how to look at it. But this is how.
But I think it's fascinating that just looking at like a few numbers, you're able to form that entire correlation of, okay, अगर ये हो रहा है, then ये होना चाहिए, ये हो रहा है, तो ये होना चाहिए. And do you think that this only comes with experience, or is there a way to fast track this learning?
No, you can fast track that learning. So, for example, this one, Vinati Organics. Okay, you want to fast track a learning. So, what you do is go right down and start looking at the credit rating reports. This will probably give you the best value for time take. I mean, this will give you the maximum value for the time you've put in, right? Okay. Why? Because, and please avoid looking at this. ये rating देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Start reading from here, the rationale and this thing. Okay, yeah, from here you can start, right? What are the strengths of the companies? What's the the client profile and the financial profile? ये 2-3 पेज अगर आप पढ़ लोगे ना, तो you have a great starting point. You don't have to go into the annual report so quickly. So first start with this value, this particular credit rating report that's there, and then you can look at other information. So that's how I kind of do it. It takes some time. एक हफ्ता कभी-कभी लग जाता है to really get your mind wrapped around the company.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more you read, the more you will be able to identify companies.
How much dependence do you have on these tools? मतलब ठीक है, these are great ways for you to research and analyze. But after this, how much of this do you take on an Excel and then do your own mathematics?
I do take it on an Excel as well, but numbers are only 50% of the job for me. Even less than that probably. I'll say maybe 35% is numbers, all your P ratio and the other stuff we discussed. I would say another 35 is the business model, and the remaining 35 is the management quality.
So thank you so much, sir. That was a brilliant session, and I learned a lot, and I hope that our audience did too. And how was your experience?
It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're right. It were, the questions were a bit challenging. So thank you so much for asking those.
And you too, I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you let us know by commenting. See you in the next one.
Investment in the securities market is subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.